Hi, my name is Julie Lemay. I'm a grants officer. I'm working at the European Molecular Biology Laboratory, EMBL, in Heidelberg, Germany. Maybe you know more our sister organization, EMBL, because of the journals, the conferences, or the fellowships. In fact, we are based at the same site here in Heidelberg. EMBL is the lab, so it's an intergovernmental organization which is funded by several member states in Europe, and it operates across now 6 sites in Europe. So we have around 80 research groups. So we have here in Heidelberg, it's the main lab. We have outstation in Grenoble in France and also in Hamburg in Germany, where they are doing more structural biology. We have an outstation in Hingston near Cambridge in the UK, where it's the European Bioinformatics Institute, so the EBI. We have also one outstation near Rome, where they are doing their mostly mouse biology and epigenetics. And our last outstation, we joined last year, is in Barcelona, and there they are doing mostly tissue biology. So as you see, our scientists are covering a large spectrum of molecular biology, and me and my colleagues in grant services at EMBL, our role is to support our scientists in first identifying research funding opportunities, then supporting them in their grants or fellowship applications, because we help the group leaders, but we also support postdocs and pre-docs when they apply for fellowships. And also when they acquire funding, external funding, we help them with the management of their grants and reporting, etc. So my background, I did my bachelor degree and my master degrees in Montreal at the Université de Montréal in microbiology and immunology. I did my master training in the laboratory of Dr. Eric Cohen in Montreal. Then after my master, I was not sure if I wanted to do a PhD or not, because I wanted to join my husband in France, and that was a PhD takes a long time, so I was not sure I wanted to first do that. So I joined a lab at the Institut Pasteur just for training for 1 year. So there I was working with Françoise Dromer on pathogenic yeast. I really enjoyed and appreciated what I learned there, but after that I wanted to go back to virology, which was my first field of, well, what I was trained for. So I continued on HIV in a lab at Institut Cochin, so first with Marc Alizon and then with Richard Benarous. After my PhD, I decided to go to Zurich in Switzerland. Then I decided to do a postdoc in Zurich in Switzerland. My first postdoc was at the Kinderspital. There I was working on retroviral vectors that are used as gene therapy vectors for a rare disease that was chronic granulomatous disease. So it's often, not often, but it's a rare disease, but it's found in children. So that's why that was at the Children's Hospital, Kinderspital. Then I did a second postdoc. Well, my first postdoc was on a very challenging topic, and did not work so well. So I did a second postdoc then on hepatitis C virus adaptation to genetic polymorphism in the host. After that training, I had in between my 2 children, and then I decided that I wanted to do something else. Then I completely switched and went on research administration, so that now I'm doing grants officer. um, because of personal reasons, and also, well, I thought that was a good opportunity for me to change my career path. So, first question that I received: what are the positive aspects of your position? So, one of the very positive aspect for me is the flexibility in my work. So it's much easier to reconcile family life and work life. So I have a good work life balance, because, yeah, compared to work in a lab where you would have a experiment and having to go on the weekend to check at your mouse or at your cells, or having very long days where I experiment with the kinetic that lasts very long. I don't have that anymore, so I decide when I decide I have to turn off my computer, I can do it. And also, what is very good is that I can work from home when it's needed, so I just need to forward my phone calls and also to have a VPN connection, and it's like I would be at work. Of course, I prefer to be in the office with my colleagues, because then we exchange a lot, and we learn more by being with the colleagues, but sometimes it's also good to be able to work from home. So that's a clear advantage that I have now in my work. Second advantage is that by working at EMBL, well, since it is an international organization, it's very culturally enriching. The eye-opening experience. I really like to have colleagues everywhere in different outstation in Europe, and have the opportunity to sometimes meet with them. And also at the main lab here in Heidelberg, we have a lot of foreign students and scientists that come from all parts of the world. So it's very nice to see to have this special atmosphere at EMBL, and to be able to meet different people from everywhere in the world. So that's a clear advantage, and I don't think you can find this at other places. Also, in my work, I have the opportunity to give trainings to postdocs and PhD students. We gave a grants writing course at the EBI in Houston. So I really enjoy doing those activities as well. So that's nice to have the possibility to do that. And also being at EMBL, where scientists are covering a very large spectrum of molecular biology. Different topics are worked by the different scientists. So it's really nice to be there, just to be exposed to all those new technologies that develop, the new ideas, the new trends in molecular biology. That's very nice. And as one of my roles is to help them identifying for funding opportunities, I have to at least know the basics of what people are working on. So I try to attend all the group leader seminars that are happening once a week in Heidelberg. So I'm learning still, even if I'm not involved in science anymore. I'm not conducting research anymore. I'm not pipetting, but I'm exposed to what's happening, the new trends in molecular biology, and I find it very nice. Also, oh yeah, another advantage is that now that I'm in administration, I'm in the finance department, but so I had to learn new things I didn't know before. Of course, I didn't know how to structure a budget. So I'm working closely with my colleagues in the budget office. I'm also for grants application, we have to check all the legal aspects and all the ethical aspects. So I'm working with my colleagues in the legal department. So I gain some knowledge in that field. Also, of course, I'm not an expert, but I'm interacting. We are liaising with several departments, HR as well, or I don't know. It's very rich just because we are seeing very various aspects in administration, and I learn new things in administration. Second question was, what are the challenges in your position? So since we are helping scientists at all EMBL outstations, of course I have colleagues directly at the outstation, but in Heidelberg we are responsible for all of our scientists across EMBL sites. So we are dealing with, of course, various funding bodies, all the different national funding bodies. So here it's in Germany, it's mostly the DFK or the BMBF. In France, it's the ANR. In Cambridge, it's I don't know, all the UK funders. We have a couple of NIH grants. Some we are prime awardees, some we are sub awardees. So we see a variety of funding body. All of them have their different sets of rules, guidelines, things to be careful with, different way of reporting. So that's challenging to be able to cope with all these differences and in the different funding bodies. As we are, of course, helping scientists working on their grants, we have often tight deadlines where we need to submit the proposal or submit the reports or things like this. So it's we have to be able to organize our work efficiently, to be able to meet those deadlines and make our scientists respect the deadlines for their grants application or reporting. So sometimes we will have like work weeks where we have a lot of a high workload because some of the deadlines, a lot of scientists will apply to the same grant application. Some weeks we will have less, of course, so we have to, it's never equal, so we have to be able to manage our time efficiently. And last challenge is maybe because we are working at the interface between the scientists and the administrative people, so those two categories of workers often do not understand each other. So the scientists, of course, do not want to read the small prints in a 200-page grant agreement from the EC, and the administrative people often do not understand how the work in the lab is done, how the work is organized. So it's challenging, and we have to make the bridge between those two people. So yeah, that's a challenge by itself, by being in between scientists and admin. Then, what are your recommendations for a trainee that would like to get a similar position? So I think that maybe it's a good thing to be open-minded and do not hesitate to go away from your comfort zone. In my case, I thought, well, since I was working in a lab since years, that was what I was able to do experiments and writing papers and these kind of things. I didn't think I would be able to work in administration, but I had that opportunity to here in Heidelberg to work with grant services, and in fact, I think I was scared, but in fact, it's a lot of learning by doing, and I was, of course, I'm perfectly fine, and I really enjoy my work now. So not to be scared of doing something else, because often it's nice to diversify your set of skills, and I think it was a good move for my case. So I learned a lot, and I think it was a good thing. Have your typical work week or task descriptions? I don't think there is a typical week in my office because, as I said, sometimes we have deadlines where it's a big rush. We have 20 applicants in September to the Marie Curie fellowships, so we help them a lot. editing their application and working on the content itself. So in this case, I'm acting more like a reviewer. Since I'm a scientist, I'm able to understand a bit the science. I would not do that for, of course, ERC advanced researchers, but for postdoctoral fellowships, then I'm able to provide support. So in those cases, on those weeks, it's very intense because we have a lot of applicants at the same time. Sometimes it will be more quiet, but then we will do more some uh, funding opportunity search or maintaining our grants management database. We collaborate a lot with the IT department to make it more functional, to be able to extract statistics from our grant application, these kind of things. So it's more like maintenance of the database, more administrative work. Sometimes we will be a lot involved with in liaising with our legal department, drafting agreements. When we are a coordinator, drafting sub-award agreements with other institutions, or liaising with the funding body, asking questions, or preparing grants agreement, these kind of things. So yeah, it's very varied. Sometimes we will be more working on the budgets for grants applications. So yeah, sometimes we do more finance things, sometimes it's more scientific. So it's rarely boring because it's enough diversified, I think. Do you see your career moving forward? So for the moment, I'm really pleased with the work I'm doing now, but for sure I will have to move to something else because as an international organization, EMBL, we only have 9-year contracts, so that's the same for everybody at EMBL, and it's particularly the emphasis on the for the scientists because what's the idea behind is that there's a constant turnover in the staff, so new ideas that are brought, so a lot of young scientists that come, so that's the idea. And also, but in administration we are subject to the same rules, so everybody after the 9 years need to move to something else. So I would not mind staying in research administration. I really like it. But I would really, really enjoy being more involved into the science again. So I don't know, maybe doing more science communication, things like that. So I will stay open mind because that's a key, I think, a criteria to be able to move to something else. So I will see what comes to me. For the moment, I'm there for a couple of years still, but I would need to think about what's the future opportunities for me in a couple of years.